It's Friday, May 8th, 2015 at 1 o'clock Eastern Time, and this is Higher Ed Live Special Edition. I'm your host, Erin Sapinka. On today's show, you'll hear how 2 campuses are using social media to direct prospective students to their most influential recruitment resource, their website. I'm joined by Donatella Rico Bierman from Elizabethtown College and Noelle Siebert from Pepperdine University. Each of my guests offer a best-in-class case study that promises to get your creative wheels turning while providing tips and tricks to increase your online footprint. Higher Ed Special Edition is part of the Higher Ed Live Network, offering viewers direct access to the best and brightest minds in education. Live webcasts allow viewers to share knowledge and participate in discussions around the most important issues in the industry. All episodes of Higher Ed Special Edition are free and accessible in the video archives at higheredlive.com and in podcast format on iTunes. Higher Ed Live is produced by M. Stoner, a marketing and communication firm that works with education institutions on branding, strategy, web design, and more. M. Stoner is offering a 30-minute print consultation during the month of March for free. Interested in having your suite of admissions or advancement materials reviewed? We're tweeting out a link where you can learn more and sign up. This episode is sponsored by Omni Update. Omni Update's content management and digital marketing solutions can help you effectively manage your website and drive your social media traffic to it. Omni Update's OU Mashup solution creates a one-step interactive hub on your site that features content from your social media networks, including Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Flickr, and more. Learn more at omniupdate.com. And now I'd like to welcome our 2 awesome guests for this afternoon show, if you guys just want to say hello and introduce yourselves.
Good morning, everyone from the West Coast. I'm Noelle. I work at Pepperdine, and I'm happy to be here today.
Oh, and hi, I'm Donatella Rico from Elizabethtown College. I was waiting for my face to show up on the screen, I'm sorry. And yeah, I'm really happy to be here again, too. Thanks.
For those of you who are watching along, please don't hesitate to ask questions using the hashtag HigherEdLive, and I'm going to do my best to get to them as they come in. I'm sure you're going to have tons of questions because I have a lot of questions for these awesome ladies. So let's get started with a couple of questions that I've kind of come up with. First, I'm going to go into, Donna, if you could kind of explain the campaign that you're going to be kind of toting today and kind of just walk us through the process of all the way from brainstorming to how you got it up and running to what you're looking at for the next round.
Sure. So the Share Your Moment campaign at Elizabethtown College, I talked about it before, so some people in the audience might have heard about it, but it actually didn't start with social, which I think is pretty cool. It actually started with a redesigned acceptance packet at the college. So it's a pretty cool print piece, and it's a little hard to show, but it opens up, and it's this whole experience. There's an acceptance letter, and it has all these neat folds and everything like that. So we didn't want the acceptance moment to be in an email or where you have to log in. We still wanted it to be this really emotional moment. So like I said, we kind of put our acceptance packet print version on steroids, and then in the middle of it, right there in that moment when people are most excited about getting into their college of their dreams, Elizabethtown, we ask them to share their moment right here. So we have the appropriate class year hashtag. You can see that this actually says 2012 accepted students. So we've been doing this for quite a number of years. So throughout the fall and into the winter, when students are getting accepted, they just tweet that, hey, we got in, and they'll use the hashtag eTown2019, and then throughout that time, I curate them on Storify, and I just share them every now and then to let people know who else got accepted to Elizabethtown. So it's been a really great success. It's been growing every year, and you know, I guess I can get into a little more specifics later when you have extra questions, but that's the basic overview of it. It's been just really great.
Okay, and Noelle, do you want to do a quick run through for me on what the campaign and kind of the social hub you guys are working with?
Sure, absolutely. So here at Pepperdine, we have 5 different schools that include the undergraduate office, or the undergraduate campus, as well as 4 graduate campuses. We have Central Alumni, and we also have Central Athletics. And so we have all of these different groups around campus that have their own marketing teams and their social media. And what we've done is we've taken all of what we would consider an official account here at Pepperdine, whether that's the alumni for the specific school, whether that's the student organizations and clubs, admissions, you name it. We have so many that are coming through and telling the Pepperdine experience. So what we did is we got to partner up with Omni Update with their new mashup, and we call it the Social Hub. So if you go to socialhub.pepperdine.edu, you see 3 different ways that you can connect with Pepperdine. So if you only want to see alumni, you can drill down on the pick list for the alumni. Or if you're only interested in the pretty photos of campus and what's happening around campus, you can just pick Instagram. You only want to see what's coming through on Instagram. And then we have the 300 accounts that we have that we consider official in the directory. So you can go over there and see what does the School of Business have, what does the Microfinance Club, you know, they have a Facebook, a Twitter, and a LinkedIn, you know, or we want to see what the Flickr is like for the Alumni Association. So we're able to really take this decentralized model here at Pepperdine with social media and allow them to still have their voice and get to keep their unique voice while we're still telling that story and still showing that experience to anyone and giving them that ease of access to what they want to see and when they want to see it.
My favorite part right away here is that you're both really highlighting stories being told and how social is kind of capturing these moments and stories that are already happening, but just gathering them in a place or showcasing them or wherever, just collecting them and having them, because even if it's not used in a marketing piece or a new website, you still have students who are checking or going through those accounts and looking at stuff, and they can see people just like them or people from different parts of the world going through the same exciting moments. Yes. And I think that's such a great, just a great piece of what social can really do. And then, so Donna, you mentioned this started in 2012. Can you explain a little bit how you got buy-in back then? I mean, I know 2012 doesn't sound that long ago, but in the world of social media, yes, that wasn't quite the, starting time.
Yeah, we've been really fortunate at Elizabethtown that our admissions team is so nice to work with, and you know, it was pretty easy to get buy-in. You know, where we have trouble with the buy-in, I think, is getting the participation and getting people excited about it. So it's more like okay, you can try that, but I don't think people are as excited about it as we are. So how I kind of counteract that is when I get a really great picture of somebody really excited, you know, who has a big bright-eyed smile, I always email those to the admissions department and say, see, another one did it. And so I think over the past 4 years, interest has really grown. I believe the first year we had about 70 students that shared their moment that we could find. I have a bunch of different searches, but I know that some probably slip under the radar. And this year we had about 150. So I think it's just, it's really growing, and I think over time we've gotten more buy-in and more trust and respect that social is a great place to collect these stories and reshare them. And something really unique, since we started it more than 4 years ago, last year was the first year at right around commencement time, I could share those moments again and reuse that store file from 2012 and say, you know, or whatever year it was that the first group finally graduated. So we got to say, hey, remember when you shared these moments? And having that knowledge and just being that I was in the same position back then, I could say, I remember when you were just accepted. So it's really neat to have that personality with the students.
No, that's awesome. I love seeing it come full circle. That's a great tip for people, because I mean, we just at my university, I fought for a same hashtag from accepted to the graduation ceremony. So, okay, it's a hashtag, and everyone was like, oh, it's just a hashtag. But if you think about it, if they're looking through stuff, they're going to see stuff from when they were accepted. And so I just really love that you guys were already thinking about that full life cycle of how the social content can continually serve, just past the warm and fuzzy feelings they're going to look at when they see the tweet, but also on the market later on when you can put up saying, look, I remember when you got your letter, and here you are with your diploma. I just think that's an awesome element. So Noelle, can you tell me a little bit about how you got buy-in for your page? Because I've gone through hundreds of colleges and different websites looking for social media hubs, and there's not tons, and not everyone has one yet. So kind of how did you get up and running, and how did you get everyone on board with it?
Yeah, we're really fortunate here at Pepperdine to have buy-in from the top. So my predecessor started this whole progress of getting the social hub up and running and what the wireframes were. And then when I came in, I got to continue her great work. And having buy-in from the top, from the very top, this came down from the president's office, that this was important and that it was something that he really wanted to focus on. And so, fortunately here, they understood that social media for Pepperdine was how we were going to tell the story. Students, recruited students. In a former life, I was an admissions counselor for a similar school. They don't answer their phone and don't really like to answer emails either. They might read them, but we would never know. And so we want to meet them where they are. So working with the undergraduate admissions office, we're able to really tell that story on a variety of mediums. So we know that millennials and Gen Z aren't necessarily favoring Facebook that much, but we can reach them on Tumblr and Twitter and Instagram. And we're dabbling in the idea of what would Snapchat look like, what does Periscope look like here for Pepperdine. But then we also can reach the adults and the alums over on the other, the more professional networks. And so we're able to have this buy-in because I can show them numbers from our monitoring software. I can show them exactly how many times that hashtag was used, or our #1 referral to our newsroom site is social. And so being able to show them that the Pepperdine experience and the Pepperdine story is being told on social, that's all the buy-in. Show me the data, so we were able to show that to them and keep telling them that story.
That's a perfect segue, because I wanted to know how you two are kind of managing your success. So Donna, you mentioned you went from 50 to 170 and posts that you could find with these hashtags. What other kind of numbers are you looking at? Are you looking at what qualitative versus quantitative are you bringing? Because I think the email is definitely just showing someone that it's look at this awesome moment we captured is equally as persuasive as maybe 150 posts the same thing. So let's go with Donna first. Can you tell me a little bit about how you're measuring success?
Sure. I don't have any numbers from this year, but what we did in years past was we looked at, just did our yield go up? Did acceptances go up? And we did find that when we had more people sharing their moments, that yield was also more positive. And we can't exactly say that it was just because we created this warm and fuzzy environment for the students. So so I think a lot of social is that anecdotal information. But what I started doing for this year, and I don't have the numbers yet, but I wanted to get down the first and last names of everybody that shared their moment that doesn't have one of those silly usernames that you can't tell who they are, right? And then we're going to send that to our admissions office and find out how many people that shared their moment actually committed to Elizabethtown and then ended up showing up. So that way we can get a little more hard data. And we're a smaller school, so they're not huge numbers, but I think that will really help build the buy-in and show why it's important to build community. Social media is not just about sharing posts and deadlines and visit. It's just about talking back and forth to the students. So those are the numbers that I'm looking to get for this year.
I love those numbers. I think that's a really great, it's a little bit of legwork, but talk about the return. It's saying, look at these 50 students that we definitely can say made a decision. And here's them interacting with this social media campaign, and I think that's just awesome. So Noelle, you mentioned all the data points, so I want to hear kind of what are you looking at number-wise? What numbers are you collecting? And then on the flip side, what are you collecting that might not be numbers? What Donna mentioned, it's more anecdotal, it's more just showing the good feelings that are coming from it.
Yeah, absolutely. So what we are doing, we have a monitoring software, Social Studio Radian 6 from Salesforce that works in with our marketing cloud here at Pepperdine. And so what I get to do, and this is where, I call it a geek out moment, is that I get to sit there and just watch the data come in and watch and run those reports on, this is a word that's really, we have these word clouds and I didn't know to track that word, and everything from crisis communication to commencement, that we get to see this holistic picture of what's being said about Pepperdine, what's being said at Pepperdine, and what our fans and anything, people that are complaining, we're able to see all of that in one dashboard. And so what I do every month is that we run this report called the Drumbeat, and so it's able to kind of see what is being said about Pepperdine around the internet. And so we download all of the tweets that went out, all the Facebook posts from the various official accounts, so the very high-level accounts, and then categorize them to where we can see how we can move the needle on, hey, we should really focus less on X and focus more on Y, because our story is too heavily being told over here, and people want to know about that. Mm-hmm. And so I'm able to pull these reports and send them up the ladder to kind of let them know not only what we're talking about, but what's being talked about by us and other people. And that helps influence some of the ways that we can really get the other schools buy-in as well, people that might not be as social media friendly. Look at all this traffic that we can have. You open up a simple Google Analytics and can see that Facebook is pushing thousands of people over here, then you can't really argue with that.
Numbers are definitely hard to argue with. It's my favorite part is that all of these tools that are coming out that are making it so much easier than me just pulling a manual search and building out something to say, look at all these people that have been interacting with us with the different topics that we put out there and which stories are hitting home with them and which ones are just kind of flopping. And so it's great to finally have numbers that can kind of support what we've been saying with the they love these stories or they don't love these stories, and here's why now. And so I know you've mentioned a couple times, Noelle, about your work with the admissions office. And so can you explain a little bit about the partnership that you have there, and are you working with them all the time? Are they kind of coming to you for help? How's that relationship look?
Yeah, I work really closely with the undergraduate admissions office. Mostly my background came from admissions many years ago, and so I have a heart for the undergraduate admissions office, and really being able to see the difference between just 5 years ago when I was recruiting with social and now is amazing, and what we can do to reach different students and have not only the Pepperdine experience told on social, but also seeing what students are looking for and what they're seeking, and being able to have that high-touch recruiting without having to give them a phone call. And so what I've been doing with the admissions office is they have fantastic ideas and giving them a platform. So our main Pepperdine accounts have thousands more people following them than, say, the Seaver admissions office. And so the Seaver admissions social media manager comes, and we meet the admissions, the central, and also alumni to see how we can tell this whole story throughout the entire, from sophomore year of high school through their 60s, when they're a Pepperdine alum. And so we're trying to figure out how we can tell that story. And right now, the national deadline was May 1, and so leading up to that, we had a hashtag campaign called #PepperdineBound. So any student that was admitted tweeted or Instagrammed or Facebooked with that, and we had a goal to touch every single post that came through. And we made that lofty promise when we first sent that email out, and in less than 48 hours, that hashtag was used over 300 times. So it was a little intense. It was a little intense, but it was so much fun, and just seeing the students get excited, and it goes back to what Donna was saying. So it's just really giving that, yes, warm fuzzies are great, but warm fuzzies, if they can translate to numbers, that's what your enrollment office wants to see, and that's what those that are a little skeptical about social want to see as well. So we were able to give them that.
That's awesome. I think the relationship, and I love that you've connected it to not just you talking to admissions, but also bringing in that alumni group to really highlight that it's a life cycle they're here for. It's not just we get them here and we're done with them. You continue that relationship. It's social content that you can be using throughout continuously. And so to continue on that vein, Donna, do you want to tell me a little bit about your relationship with other departments on campus and how you kind of utilize social to make sure that their content, whether it's admissions or the alumni department, that it's really helping their goals?
Sure, yeah. We have a centralized marketing and communications team and at Elizabethtown, and our two biggest clients are admissions and development, and then alumni relations, which falls under development. So with admissions, we have something called ACT. It's the admissions communications team, and we meet every other week. And that's really helpful. You know, it helps us look ahead with what our strategy is for admissions, you know, especially around a certain time of year. How are the numbers? What do we need to do to get more yield? So we can kind of adjust. So we're in constant contact with our admissions team. So that's really helpful. For development, it's more on a project-by-project basis, and that's something I would like to get a little more, I'd like a little more collaboration with the development team. I would love a tool like Radian 6 where we can really connect everything together. So right now we do a lot of manual things, but I really think that I could get a lot more buy-in from the development team if we could show that people that interact with us on social are also donating money to the college and giving back. And with alumni relations, we also get involved with them on a project-by-project basis. You know, of course, for homecoming, we always do some kind of really big grassroots promotion. A couple years ago, we did something with stickers that said "Tag You're It." And that was really great. We actually had physical stickers, and we had our social media street team. We went out to the parade and slapped stickers on people, and then we said, now that we've tagged you, you know, it's your turn to tag us. So we did that for 2 years, and this year we didn't want to grow tired with that idea, so we did the big picture frames that a lot of people are doing. So we try and keep it fun and really engage with the departments when it makes sense. So yeah.
So I just want, before I keep going, I would just want to send out a quick reminder to anyone tuning in that please tweet us your questions if you have any questions about more about the data or how they're getting these projects up and running. I would love to ask them your questions before I just take over and ask them all of my personal questions. And so can you kind of give me a little bit of a sneak peek into what your dream project would be if you had an unlimited budget? So how would you kind of take what you're doing already and totally maximize it in all the different ways? We'll start with Noelle.
Yeah, sure. So if I was thinking this, you know, Erin, you told us this was going to be a question, and I'm like, you know, what would I want? And, you know, I think a lot of it comes to just being a good steward of university resources. And when I'm looking at Instagram, you know, there's only we're right, if you know where Pepperdine is, you know, we're in Malibu, it's beautiful, you know, it doesn't really change, and so there's only so many photos that I can take. So I'm trying to figure out how I can use Instagram as an information sharing system rather than just like, here's some beautiful photos. And so looking at consumer packaged good companies like Nordstrom and Target and Old Navy, how they have that LinkedIn profile, well, we would never see the ROI on that because we can't really like attribute one tuition to our Instagram buying that program. So, you know, so we're building that in-house. And so so when you, hopefully in the next month or so, when you come to Pepperdine's Instagram, our LinkedIn profile will take you out to a conversion splash page. So if I had an unlimited budget, I would be cranking out those kinds of projects, you know, left and right, and having a little bit more of, you know, kind of what Donna said, a street team, you know, a little bit more people around to kind of make these dreams come true. But it's working through all these ideas. You've got Periscope popping up, you've got Meerkat popping up, you know, no pun intended. So you've got all of these different programs coming out, and if I could just, you know, get my hands on them all to try them, that would be fantastic. But we're, you know, that's coming soon, is how we can kind of see what these new things will be working at within the budget that we do have.
No, I'm really jealous of that Instagram thing because I do put links in profiles, but again, you can only attest maybe. You go by the link click, and you have no idea what happened after they visited. And it drives me insane. Yeah,
and if they visit 3 days later and you have a new LinkedIn profile, they're like, what? Where am I going?
I can definitely, I know that pain. And so, Donna, can you give me a little bit of insight of what your dream would be with a dream budget?
Yeah, well, I was really envious when Noelle was talking about all the cool things she could do with her data. We use Sprout Social, which I love. I love Sprout Social if you're listening. But I definitely think we could benefit from something a little more powerful, maybe something that actually talks to our internal system. Ashley Budd's presentation at High Ed Web this year about social giving, I was also really impressed with what you can do when you connect your giving database to your social followers to show some numbers. So I definitely would say a program to use data would be something I would do. And then also more manpower. maybe the budget to compensate our street team members, which are right now volunteer. And I think if they're compensated, they might get a little more buy-in and take a little more ownership if they're getting paid to do it. And then maybe a little more promotional money to do some fun things. We did some eTown College hashtag T-shirts, cool. And we also did a selfie stick prize. So I would just like to give away, some more prizes, but that's kind of minor. I definitely would do more with data if I had the budget.
It's kind of funny that as we've been talking, there's been more of you guys mentioning the physical elements of your social campaign that is held on the web. Donna, it was your printed piece, and with Noelle, it's your just physical presence on campus with different things that you're printing out. It's just really interesting that even though we push for web and social, we still have to have that tangible piece to give people saying, look, not only are we interacting with you, but we also want you to know we actually care or we're paying attention. We do have a question. Noelle answered it a little bit earlier, but I think we can definitely go over it again because it's awesome. How is social media integrated into your guys' home pages? How did that get started, and does it add authenticity to the visitors? And that's from Ryan McGuire at Princeton. So, Noelle, if you want to start real fast, and then we'll hop over to Donna.
Yeah, every single page on Pepperdine's website, whether it's the homepage, whether the university homepage, www, or whether it's the law school or the business school, have their social media present, and then we have that social hub that has everything all on one page. And so we did that in order to continue to get that story out there. If people really like something on that page, they're really easily able to share it, and off it goes. Every newsroom article, every little thing has, somewhere on the page you will see the share buttons. And so we wanted to make sure that it was really easy, transparent, and authentic, so people are able to, hey, I like this, you would like it too. And then on the flip side, hey, we are on social. Come follow us, on the go, on demand, whatever you would like to see it. You can just easily pull up your phone and see it right there and be able to see that Pepperdine story from wherever.
Okay. And then Donna?
Yeah, at the footer of etown.edu, we have all of our main social networks there that are linked from it. And then from there, we have a social media directory that actually needs to be updated, but similar to the OU mashup, which we're considering looking into. But we have the social media directory of who are all the offices on campus, all of the academic departments, all the student groups, and then which outlets they're on. And then on a lot of our academic departments, we have on the left-hand column, we have little widgets, for lack of a better word, that direct people to those specific social media outlets. And then on our newsroom, eTown Now, we have social sharing buttons, which is usually the case with news articles. And then the same with our magazine website. So we really try and cross-promote everything. And we do find that most of our traffic does come from mobile as well. So that's the other great thing about analytics. But we know that people are clicking on our eTown Now stories from social, and vice versa.
No, again, numbers are so helpful when you can prove it. My other question is, so you guys have you link to these accounts on your homepage, you have these feeds on your homepages or your feeds at the different things. What's your strategy behind moderating them and kind of picking the accounts, whether it's all the way from the beginning of when you meet with people who are developing a new social account or want to get into the social world, to how you clean up the feed to make sure that there's not some random things that have found their way there. What's your guys' strategy look like? And then let's go with Donna first.
Sure. The accounts that we promote on the college homepage are the official college accounts, which are Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and we also have our Flickr account on there. For the social media directory, we want to list everybody that has an active account. So the idea was to go through a purge at the end of every academic year, but we haven't completely kept up with that. But we don't want to promote accounts that are inactive. We're also working on a social media governance plan, which isn't in place yet. But for right now, we can't exactly say you can't have a Twitter or you can't have a Facebook page. So our carrot that we kind of dangle for them is we won't list you in the directory unless you're active. I saw one account that pretty much said, "Welcome back, students. Happy Halloween. Have a great Christmas break." So those are the kind of accounts that we don't want to promote. So we really try and do a good job at educating people that want to have a social media account to keep those directories up to date. So that's kind of our policing practice now, but we really haven't ruled with an iron fist yet, but that's what the governance plan is going to do.
And then Noelle?
Yeah, so what we did prior to me coming to Pepperdine, the first step was really to just get an idea of how many accounts that we have out there that are affiliated with Pepperdine. So we split that into central, alumni, athletics, and then the 5 schools. That's where the 300 plus number came from. And then what they did was take a branding strategy. So whether you were from a university central, whether you were the business school or the law school or athletics, and everyone has an official avatar. So that was the next step. So depending on what level you fell within that social media world, you had either the dark blue P or the swoosh P. I mean, it was all these different Pepperdine Ps. And then now what we're working through, we're in the final stages of getting that strategy document, the policy and governance document. We have that for access to Social Studio and Radian 6. We have all of that governance down, and so now what we're taking is taking that and really applying it to what it looks like holistically here at the university. And when, I just met with HR just last week to figure out how they can start tweeting out jobs and on LinkedIn. And I just asked that people meet with me just so I can kind of see where they are and their comfort level with social. Is this something new and fun for them that will die in 6 months? To Donna's point, we don't want to do that. And then just kind of training them. When we get to new student orientation here in August, I'll be working with the various student interns at the various, the career services and the counseling center and this and that to help them, hey students, this is the best practices here at Pepperdine, this is our strategy, this is where we're going. If you have any questions, this is where my office is located, this is where we're going with the university, so let me know, I'm here as a resource for you, here are some Google documents, best of luck.
No, I really appreciate the trend that I'm seeing with you too, in that it's more of being a resource rather than an iron fist that's kind of dropping down, here's what the official institute policy is, and there is no wiggle room. I think being a resource is the best thing that we can do, because so many people are very easily, not to sound rude, but persuaded to not get an account because they don't like seeing that, okay, well, to remain active on Twitter, you want to have this many posts a day, and to really see a return on this time that you're putting in, you have to do it like this. And I think that's a resource that is sometimes not always looked at because people just want to say no or yes, when really if you just have a conversation, you can really help them out.
Absolutely, and what we're doing with this audit is that that audit doesn't stay stale. So every year we are re-auditing, for lack of a better word, all of the different sites. And so, I just sat down with the law school last week and was like, okay, so this is what we did and what we came up with last year. Here are all the new accounts that I found. These pages have died. Can we close them out or light some fire underneath them? I'm going to take them off the directory if it doesn't, that's where you kind of get iron fisty, but you still give them that chance to be like, I don't want to take any of these off if they're valuable to students. We just need to get another person on there, keeping it up to date and keeping it active.
Definitely. We have another question that's come in, and I actually am very interested to hear your guys' take on this. So it's from Ina Link. Any thoughts on how to produce more buy-in with adult learner populations for social media usage in admissions, recruitment, and engagement? So have you seen any successes with these campaigns? Have you held separate campaigns to try and reach those different audiences? Do either one of you have any?
Go for it.
Sorry.
No, go for it.
At Elizabethtown, we have the School of Continuing and Professional Studies, and they have their own Twitter and Facebook accounts, but I've worked with them on training. But one of the things I've noticed is that even adult learners, even though they have, they don't think of themselves as being in a separate school. So, for example, when there's a weather closing, they will come to the official college Facebook page and say, well, what about, SCPS, is that closed? So we know that they're still paying attention to our audience. So for large campus events, we always make sure that we're still talking to the adult learners. We live tweet their graduation. So we try and be all-encompassing. But for the day-to-day, our continuing learning department still kind of handles their own, but they have a little room to grow, so I'm looking forward to helping them out.
And Noelle?
Yeah, so the one that first came to mind was the business school is starting a half-life significance program. I might have totally messed up that title, and I apologize, business school, if you are listening. And so that is, geared towards older generations, and a couple of the MBA programs are also for more of those seasoned business executives. And so they're not going to be on Facebook or Instagram. Well, I mean, maybe, but not necessarily looking for educational advice. And so when I take an intake form, I have an intake form that people from around campus can share their news and events and things that they'd want promoted on the main university page. I look at what they think the target audience is and then go off that direction. So when I post more of the professional studies and the more of the not necessarily neon night on the green, for the undergraduate campus, I post that over on LinkedIn. It does so much better, and it just kind of flops over on Facebook. So it's figuring out those different audiences and what they want and what they're looking for.
Now, that actually leads me into another question. I guess, what is your guys' process when you're looking at the new channels? So you mentioned Meerkat and Periscope and all these new things, and whether or not we should get involved in Snapchat. How are you kind of evaluating? What are your kind of walkthroughs with evaluating whether or not you want to hop on a new service? With, for example, Yik Yak, do we waste time on it? Is it really worth it? I know that I spend time on it all the time just looking and listening, but I never actively really post.
Yeah.
And so what does that process look for you guys? We'll start with Donna.
For me, whether or not we know if we're going to use it, I reserve the name right away, just so we have it. Should it blow up into something really huge, that way we have E-Town College and somebody else didn't scoop it up. When Tumblr was really growing, I usually try and adopt everything myself first, just to try it out as a person and, just pay attention to see what other schools are doing with it and if it's working. So I kind of just like to sit back and see what's happening. But if it's something I kind of feel in my gut that people are going to really enjoy, like Pinterest, we hopped on that right away and had some students manage that. And to be honest, with Pinterest, we kind of were in it for a little bit and then we fall off track a little bit. But that was something I know that was popular, so we immediately tackled that. But yeah, Yik Yak, again, like you said, Erin, we're just listening. We're using it as a listening tool. But we try not to hop on anything right away, but just in case we grab our username.
And then Noelle?
Yeah, Yik Yak just makes me laugh. That is, you get out of a tough meeting, you're like, what are the students thinking right now? So we use Yik Yak again to just listen. I saw the library one time posted, hey, don't forget about our game night, and it got downvoted so fast. So it's just one of those where it's kind of, I think the students feel like Yik Yak is still their domain, so we just use it to listen. But when, I mentioned Periscope earlier, right now we're in the middle of one of the largest lectureships that happens at Pepperdine year over year. It's the 72nd annual Bible lectures, and there are thousands of people that are here or listening online, and it's just one of those that draws in a ton of people from all over the world. And so Periscope is new, just a few weeks, people are still kind of figuring it out. And so I just, hey, let's Periscope this real quick and see what happens. And people were, hearts and comments, that was great. Now, just yesterday I found out our CMO was using it, and I was so proud. I'm like, Rick, this is amazing. Thank you so much. It really gives people that inside look to what we're doing out here in Malibu, and they are all over the world, our alums or our prospective students, or just even the affinity groups that are with Pepperdines. So what I want to do when it slows down a little bit, hopefully here soon in the summer, I want to work with the admissions office and see how we can Periscope a tour. Hey, come on a tour with us, and the alumni for Waves Weekend, which is what we call homecoming. So, hey, come walk with us, like this is what we're doing, and here's this. And so those that can't make it can still feel a part of and still feel like home, regardless of where they are.
Yep. So every new channel that comes out, I feel, offers more and more insight to a behind-the-scenes look, and it's it's definitely trending into the side of where we've always been talking about with social is this authentic voice. Like it's shot with your iPhone on Periscope, and it's not going to be the highest quality, but it's still enough to make someone feel like they're there and involved. And so we've been talking about all these different policies and governance and strategies that you guys have, and I'm just curious. So you have the social hub at Noel, but where do these strategies and guidelines live? Are they on your computer, or do you have an outward-facing thing? So that if students want to look, say, oh, I want to start a new Twitter account for student government, what do I need to do? Is there anything that I have to go for? I'm not saying that all students think that way, because I know I did it when I was a student. But is that a space that students or faculty or departments could find for either of your institutions?
TBD. It's coming. So right now we have a thing called Community. It's our community site. So it's an like extranet sort of thing. It's for those that work here at Pepperdine, but it is accessible off campus and to the general public. And so in there we have all of our avatars and what if you are this page, you have to have this avatar, and then a triage for crisis communication chart is on there as well. And then there's a link that says coming soon for our social strategy and policies. And so like I mentioned, those are in the final stages, and we will get those up, and then we're hoping at new student orientation to, hey, this is social at Pepperdine. If you have questions, again, nice to meet you. Like, come chat, because we don't want to shut down their voice, because then they'll just go do it somewhere else. And so we want to give them the right resources to do it correctly, if I can say that. So, at least that's what we're doing as of now. So we'll see where that goes in the next few months.
And then Donna.
Yeah, at Elizabethtown. Back in 2010, shortly after I started, when we redid our website with Omni Update, actually, we have a social media guideline. So it's not a governance plan, and they're not rules, but they're best practice guidelines. And I have a landline, and it's ringing. Let me just shut that off. So we have a page that actually talks about if you want to get on social media, and we ask those important questions to kind of not dissuade people from doing it, but we have them go through a checklist. Who's going to run it? Do you have a transition plan? If students are starting it, what do you do when you graduate? So we have kind of this list of questions for people to think about before they even open an account. And then we have guidelines for guides for getting started on Twitter, getting started on Facebook, getting started on Pinterest and Instagram. We have our comment policy there, and we have links to our style guide. A few years ago, we had some students that did a fake college president account, and some of those E-Town Secrets accounts. Then they were misusing our logos and guidelines. So that was kind of how we were able to put some control in it. We said we can't stop you from doing this account, but here's our guidelines, and put that it's fake and not that it's not official, and here are some official logos to use. So we do have some resources. They need to be updated a little bit. So we're going to work on that. As Noel said, in the summer, that's the time when you can really sit back and update some things. So we do have some resources out there, but we really like to get grassrootsy and go out and speak to different organizations. Earlier this year, I spoke to some of the coaches, and I spoke to the Student Life Division, and did some mini sessions for seniors through the Career Services Department. So yeah, we have online guides, but we also have ourselves that we go out and help people.
No, I love that. I think the telling the students who are running these anonymous accounts that sometimes are a thorn in our side, saying like we're not like here trying to shut you down, we just want you to operate within these guidelines. And I think handing over the official trademarks and the logos was just great, because I'm sure they weren't expecting that in the slightest. And again, it just shows that the university or the college or whatever, the department's there for the students ultimately, and that although sometimes it may seem stiffer or drier, social really does let the more authentic conversations and conversations and personalities kind of show. And so do you guys have any students that are working on your social? That's my favorite question to ask. Are you utilizing student workers at all, or you have a volunteer panel that's kind of just, my favorite word to describe students with social is kind of your gut check of, is this lame or not? And so I'm just wondering, are you working with any students to help you kind of navigate throughout this?
Yeah, I can start. At Elizabethtown, we have the E-Team, which is our social media street team, and they help out at large campus events like our big campus cleanup day, commencement, homecoming, things like that. But then I don't do it every single week, but I try to, at the beginning of the week, say this is what's happening on campus from, from an overall marketing perspective. These might be some admissions things to hit, some alumni things to hit, some arts and culture. So I give them cues. But of course, the reason we have the E-Team is because they're the student voice, and we don't know about all the things that the clubs are doing or things that we don't have access to. So they're pretty active. Their usernames are all etown_Kelly or etown_Andrew. So we have that, and then we have a social media intern who is one of the ET members who works in our office, and she has helped tremendously with the social media audit that we're doing, and doing some of the research and admin type things that don't always get done. So yeah, so we utilize them mostly on a volunteer basis, but they get a free T-shirt.
And then any students on your team, Noelle?
So with the decentralized model at Pepperdine, with all of the different schools and athletics and this, what we've done is create a social media committee. So I chair that committee, and once a month we meet for an hour, and throughout the month I'm obviously talking with them, but we all get together once a month, and some of the schools do have some of their graduate assistants as the ones running their pages. For us in central marketing and central alumni, we don't have students running those pages. We feel like those need to be a little bit more controlled and reined in. But on the admissions level and for undergraduate admissions as well as the various schools, they do have their teams of people that work over with them. So if you think about kind of the umbrella, it kind of goes like this of all of the different groups that are working together. So they get to work within their specific audience with their specific people, but from my understanding, I don't know if they even get a T-shirt or not. So I got to get on that.
Food is awesome for students, and free T-shirts. I don't know when it stops being as awesome, but I remember free T-shirts were like that was the only thing I worked out in when I was in school, was a free T-shirt. So one more question before we sign off today is I want to know, what should we be looking out for you guys? Are there any awesome projects that are coming up that we can keep an eye on that you can give a little bit of details on, that we can just kind of tune in and watch unfold?
Sure, I can go. So that Instagram page I'm really, really excited about. I will meet with the development team next week to kind of go through the templates and see where that's going and what that looks like, and I honestly can't wait. If you can't tell, I'm very excited for that. And then I'm just really excited to see what Periscope looks like, and getting that buy-in already. I didn't really even have to try that hard for the CMO to start doing it, so that for me was just really exciting and really reaffirming of what the work that's being done here at Pepperdine is something that people are seeing and liking and noticing. So look out for us on Pepperdines on Periscope, which sounds fun, and then also our Instagram splash page.
I just want to say that your administration sounds like they're really socially, at least interested in social media. I mean, I can't say that they're hip, maybe, but they sound like they could be very hip.
They are the hippest of all admins. Hi, guys.
And then, Donna, do you have any projects that are coming up that we can watch out for and kind of stay tuned in?
The biggest project at Elizabethtown is it's not something that's going to be flashy. It's the social media governance plan. And last year at High Ed Web, I went to Logan Bishop, shout out to Logan, to his workshop about what he's doing at Belmont. And I'm just really looking forward to collaborating with campus and bringing people together and getting all the resources and just really building a social media user base, because we started out kind of having meetings with people, but then everybody just gets so busy. So I'm looking together to just reforming a social group and coming up with some guidelines and updating our directory based on the audit that we did, and then possibly looking into some kind of social hub similar to what Noelle has at Pepperdine. So kind of just bringing it all together, I think, is the next big thing at E-Town. And then of course, just continuing the conversations that we're having. I mean, the Share Your Moment, that's been a success, so we're just going to continue doing that. And Noelle, good luck with Instagram. It's our fastest growing channel, and we really have a lot of fun with that.
Awesome.
But I'm so excited to follow both of you. I'm drooling over the Instagram, and I am working on governance myself, so I'm going to be stalking eTown's governance. So I'm so excited because these are resources that I'm going to be able to use very soon in my own time here. But I just want to thank you guys for joining me. We're reaching the end of our time, and so I just wanted to give you a huge shout out for joining us and taking an hour out of your time to kind of share your secrets and what's working for you and such. And I want to thank, again, as always, our program supporters, M. Stoner and Omni Update. And I'm Erin Spinka signing off. Tune in next week for even more great Higher Ed Live stuff.